Good morning, everyone. This is Patrick at Qdabra, and welcome to our weekly webinar. Today, we're talking about proof of identity and trying to add signatures to forms to show that people actually process them. So the title is a little bit deceiving because we're not just capturing signatures, we're also verifying identity. So this image here with digital signature is a bit goofy. I apologize for that. We have a couple of very quick polls to get us in the mood here in terms of what we're going to be talking about. Just a very quick yes-no question here. Do you have forms with signatures in them today? And it looks like we've got some people that do and some people that don't. About close to 2/3 of you say yes, and the rest say no, and no one's saying not sure. The next question I have, just real quick here, is what about, do you have forms that need to verify identity or proof of identity? And this is pretty common, actually. So I would expect most of you to say yes, but there are a few that are saying no. In fact, we got about a quarter of you are saying no, and about 3/4 of you are saying yes. So that basically that's what we're talking about today. Thanks for playing with the poll there for a second and answering those questions. We are going to talk about 5 techniques today, and there's kind of 2 classes of these techniques, right? One is about signatures, about DocuSign. That's what we call wet signatures or glass signatures. People actually using their pens in the old days. Now we're using phones, iPads, computers, or even DocuSign. So we'll do that first. We'll talk about signatures for the first 2 demos, and then we'll switch to proof of identity. And for proof of identity, we use pins, and that's proof of identity, right? I think that's what a PIN stands for, or it's a personal identification number, right? And then we've got a way to use text now to verify identity, and we've got a much more secure approach using a cell phone app. And so we're going to be doing 5 demos today, and we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of each technique. And it's going to be pretty rapid fire. If you've got questions, please feel free to add those. We will be sending you a link so you can actually do one of the demos with us, or 2 maybe, if you've got a cell phone there. Most of you probably have cell phones these days. If you're in the United States, you can, or one of the countries that we support in terms of SMS texting. The form actually is kind of limited, but I'll show you that in a second. First up, why do we care about signatures, proof of identity? And the first reason here, there's 2 answers. There's number 1 and number 2. And the first answer is we want to capture evidence of approval. And there's 2 techniques I'm going to show. And the first one is the glass signature, and that's very nice because people are familiar to going to their coffee shop or wherever they're going, and people have these little iPads that they swivel around and you sign them, right? So people are familiar with glass signatures. Obviously, some of us can still write our names. Nowadays, it's like you don't get a pen in your hand very often. So obviously, we're very familiar with that because we grew up signing our names, or maybe we didn't, but we know how to do that. So that's the good thing about glass signature. I'll show this in a second. The cons of it, though, are that you have to be physically present, and it's not really that strong of a signature proof because the signatures that you get with glass are not as high fidelity as what you would get with a pen, right? Because people are using their fingers. There's a couple degrees of motion going on with the swiveling device and everything. So you're not going to get the precision pen-like signature with glass signatures, and you'll see that in a second. I mean, if you have a special electronic pen device that you're hooked up to your computer or to your iPad and you walk around, yeah, then you can get really good signatures. But in general, the downside of the glass signature is it's not really proof of signature, because if you're going to try to compare the signature with something on file, it may not look anything like. And you see people in the coffee shop just drawing a line; they don't care. So, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of fun. The second technique is using DocuSign, and this actually doesn't even use a glass signature. You can set it up to use a glass signature, but the default isn't. And what we do with this is we send the PDF to DocuSign and we let them authenticate with email. Once again, not super secure because obviously there's no signature involved in the default case. And if people, were able to access your computer and look at your email, they could conceivably sign on your behalf. Obviously, you don't want to lock your computer, but it's not super secure because of that. So let's take a look at glass signature first. Once again, if you have questions on any of this stuff, please do just throw it in the question area. So I'll do the demo first here. This is the glass signature demo. And all of these forms are going to be provided to you as part of our package. And in fact, I will send you this link. I'm going to put a link actually in the chat window. You can use our anonymous mode to do the demo yourself. I think that'll work. I haven't actually tested these. I've tested some of these in anonymous, but if you click on this link, it should open the form for you. In fact, I'll just try it right now from my desktop. So this is a form that is opening in Forms Viewer. Hopefully, it's like I just tried this a second ago. The cloud always has sometimes. Okay, so maybe it won't work in a non-mode. Let me try the other one. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. It wouldn't be a demo if it was. We didn't have a few speed bumps. So here we go with the form. This is how it should look. So just go ahead and ignore that link. I haven't tested this from external, but there will be a couple demos later that will work from external. So in this mode with the, actually this is the wrong demo. This is not glass, sorry. I think that the glass one will probably work. Let me actually paste that link in and see if that is any better for the anonymous mode. The anonymous mode allows you to access our 365 site externally. So if we open this here, there's no error. If it's trying to get a resource like to compare a pin or something like that, then you'll see an error on open, but this one's fine. This one doesn't have that issue, so we can definitely use this one. So the link I just pasted in the chat window should work for you. And what you're going to do is, if you were logged in, it would automatically detect who you were. But because I believe that's the case, yeah, it's automatically detected who I am here, and then I can just type in some bogus employee number and sign the form. Now, this brings up a signature block, and so I can sign this. This is my glass signature block, right? It's a little bit off from the mouse. I'm not sure why that's happening, but it should be it should work closer to the mouse, but I've got to take a look at that. Anyway, you can see I can sign this, and if I were using a cell phone device or an iPad, I could use my finger. And then if I click agree, it just timestamps it, puts the timestamp at the bottom. Okay, so that's the first technique. Now this technique can be added to your form. So if we go back to the slides for a second, it's fairly easy to add this to your form. I'm guessing it would take 5 to 10 minutes. We have a section, an XML template part that you can add to add the glass signature control. The glass signature control does require Forms Viewer, which is our replacement for InfoPath. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. It's an app that you install via SharePoint App Store. Fairly simple, 5-minute installation, and then you can use this technique with it. The app, let me just show you what the app looks like, or what the form looks like. So when you're in Forms Viewer, you can manage your templates if you're a site collection admin, and you can upload and download forms. And I'm just going to take a quick look at this and show you that Forms Viewer is unique in that it supports the InfoPath form template, but it's not InfoPath. So it actually takes all of those old InfoPath forms that you had, and it allows you to continue using them without using InfoPath. But you can do so much more. So here's the form opening in the InfoPath Designer, and you can see that the form has a signature block here that it's using. And this is kind of a custom control. So when you add the XML template part, you'll configure it and you can actually go through the steps. In fact, I can show you how that looks today. But basically what you're going to do, so we have the some instructions on what to do with the XML template part. So what you're going to do with your form, we get a mobile view as well, and then we have the PDF view. So I'm just going to create a new view here. You can still use InfoPath Designer for sure, because it's going to keep the backward compatibility. And if we just add a test view here, just to show you how this is going to work, you'll just add the glass signature control. What you do is you go into your controls and click on add a custom control, and then you have to download the package that we send after the webinar. And we have these 5 different folders for you to look at in the package. So the first technique is technique number 2. The numbering is bad, and you can just click on that, add that XCP, and now you've got the XCP, which is the reusable section, and I can go and add that to the form. And you can see that it includes steps for you. If you have a Form0 form, you can ignore this first step because QRules is built into it. And then you'll just basically, you've just done the second step, and then you'll do these 9 different things to configure it. So it's fairly simple to configure. So that's how easy it is to add the glass signature to your form. And once again, as we saw a moment ago, the glass signature is kind of nice because it gives you that familiar signature via mouse or via your finger. Okay, so that's technique number 1. Of course, you can have a clear button, you can have a agree button. Now, technique number 2 uses the same sample form. Let me just show you. We'll go back to our slides for a second. And this is showing DocuSign integration. So we're actually going to use the glass signature, and we're going to take it one step further, and we're going to create a PDF of it and send that off to DocuSign. So Form0, unlike InfoPath, allows you to integrate with these new web services like DocuSign that don't support, they support JSON or REST-based web services or web methods. And DocuSign is fairly popular out there. It's a great technique for getting people to sign documents, and forms can be, you can create a document from your form using a PDF command, and then you can send it to DocuSign and have someone sign it. Let's do that. So I'm going to go back to my templates, and you can deploy these forms to form libraries. You can deploy them. You can just test them out in the Form0 Manage templates. This is the 365 site, obviously. There are a couple forms in here that actually submit to libraries. For the purpose of these demos today, I just uploaded these, and we'll take a look at the DocuSign example here next. Now, DocuSign requires an account, so you have to have a free account. It doesn't require any money, but you have to create a free account to get it to work. We're going to be using one of our accounts here, so it's the same exact sample form. And these forms actually look really good with different resolutions, because we've added the responsive design. We've talked about the responsive design in the past, but unlike InfoPath, we're able to take full use of the screen's real estate, the dots per inch, if you've got a high resolution device. So once again, I'm just going to sign this form here. That's the glass signature. But now I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to click Generate PDF. Now, the Generate PDF command is one of the features that we support in Form0 that we don't have in InfoPath. I mean, you can do Control P, Control Print, and you can do Print to PDF in Office, but the results aren't that great. So we have a PDF library that we've included in Form0 that has better fidelity, and what it does is it automatically generates the PDF via button click on demand, and then you can see the PDF is launching in my browser here. So this is exactly what I just signed, 8:18 a.m. Pacific here. And then if I go back to the form, you can see that I've got another, it actually attaches a PDF to the form. You don't see that, you just see the pop-up, but it also attached the form here. And now if I email the PDF for signing, it asks me for an envelope. Okay, we'll type in the envelope here, and the subject line is going to be Qdabra demo. And I can name the file name. And I'm going to send the request. Now what this is doing is this is actually contacting the DocuSign API, and it's sending the PDF to it on our behalf, and then DocuSign is going to turn around and email us. And I should get an email in a minute here that I can actually use to sign the document via DocuSign. So the steps involved are pretty simple. Very similar to the last demo, you have a DocuSign XCP. If we go into the folder, you'll see technique number 5. I apologize for the ordering mismatch here, but you can see that there's another XML template part to add the DocuSign XCP, and mainly what we're adding there are the rules that allow us to that allow us to integrate with DocuSign. So similar to what I showed a moment ago with the glass signature form, I can download the DocuSign form here and show you what those rules look like while we're waiting for the email. Actually, the email is probably already there. But let's just take a quick look at the rules in the form. And once again, we're just still using InfoPath Designer. Now, we do have a designer for forms here. It's coming out soon. We actually have some features already there. We are trying to add the Canvas editing functionality right now. We're busy doing that. We're actually finally getting that work done, something we've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. We've been busy with other stuff, but you should be able to make these changes in the InfoPath, in our Qdabra Forms app via the Forms Designer, and that tab is already there. For those of you who have forms here, you just click on the Design tab. We're going to be adding a lot of functionality to this in the near future. Hopefully in the next few months, you're going to see the ability to edit the canvas, and it's going to resemble the InfoPath UI. So you'll be able to reuse your knowledge from your InfoPath Designer days. Now, Microsoft has said that the InfoPath Designer will be supported until 2026. So we haven't been in a super big hurry to do it, but we do want to get it done because some customers say that that's a showstopper for them. So now we're looking at this form again. If we go back to the view that has that email PDF for signing button here and take a look at the rules on it, you'll see that there is it switches to this view. Actually, it shows the email envelope, and let's go to that view and see if there's a special button on this view. So there's the send request button, and here we're sending the DocuSign request. So what we're doing is we're actually centralizing our logic, our rules in the form, which is a best practice. We're centralizing them underneath this DocuSign field in the secondary data source here. And the reason why we do that is because we might have two buttons that want to access the same rules, and we don't want to duplicate them on each button. So we just put all the rules here on this field, and then this button just sets that field equal to some value that triggers it from running, like go. And so it's going to run through, it's going to query, it's going to set some values, it's going to submit the request. And you can see here that we're actually generating JSON using the forms your command XML to JSON, then we make the request, and then we convert it back to XML so we can display we can get the results. Did that succeed? And then if it didn't succeed, of course, we would probably pop up some error message. So let's take a look at email and see if it worked. And here's the email. So the email is coming from Kirby. Kirby is our support lead, and she's the one that set up the account last night in preparation for this demo. She couldn't be with us today, but she is the sole reason why we're doing this webinar today, is because of all of her wonderful effort. And so I can click on review, and this is going to take me to the DocuSign site. Now I have a DocuSign account, but I'm not going to log in. I'm just going to continue in the anonymous mode, so to speak. And you can see here that it's got the PDF there. This is exactly the same PDF that I generated in the form, and I can actually use DocuSign to sign this. And you can see here there's a little demonstration document only, whatever. But I can sign it with my name, and I can finish it. Just like you expect with DocuSign. Of course, I could log in and have it save a copy of this document, but nah, forget it. I don't care. And that's it. I mean, that's how easy it is to integrate with DocuSign. We've done all the heavy lifting, the behind-the-scenes rules for you in that XML template part. You just add it, and you're good to go. And then DocuSign, of course, will send you another email saying you've signed the document, and with a link to view it. So that's the DocuSign demo. So once again, these first two techniques are kind of great for traditional signature-based documents, contracts, agreements where you want to get someone's personalized signature to make it look good. So let's switch gears now and talk about the other three techniques. Any questions so far? So the other three techniques are all about verifying identity. Now you could claim that signatures are also helpful for verifying identity, but what we really want to do with identity is we don't care if they sign it or not. We just want to make sure that the person who approved the document is indeed the person who it was sent to, right? That's what we're talking about here. And in today's day and age with tampering and hacking and everything, you have to be careful that you make sure that indeed the person is who they say they are. So we're going to go through and talk about the three other techniques with demos, but I just want to call out user profile service. So today in 365, you can query the user profile service, and that works fine for, you can automatically query who the person is when they open the form. You can store that information in the form in a read-only way. However, it does require logging in, which requires a password. So external access is more difficult. In addition, you have to have licenses because it's 365. Microsoft doesn't allow for free external access like SwarmZero does. And if the people aren't in your organization, well, you're not going to want to give them a license anyway, even if you had the money, because it's a management issue. So you want to send out a survey to lots of people. You don't necessarily want to create accounts for all of them. So you do need to verify identity in these situations, and user profile service is not going to do it. So we've got three techniques. The first technique is the PIN. So let's take a look at this. The PIN, I'm just going to do the demo real quick, and then we'll talk about it. We've actually had this PIN technique in use for at least 10 years. We actually have an electronic signature XML template part that we have on our website. It's a free download. Now this PIN technique, what it does is it looks up, and this is also one that cannot be anonymously opened because it's going to look up my name in a list, and it's going to allow me to type in a PIN from the list. So I know what my PIN is, but let's type in something that's bogus, like 1, 2, 3, 4. When I do that, it hides it, and if I click this little button here, it shows it. And this is kind of a cool little technique we have in this sample form. Now, if I try to sign it, it's going to say, nope, that's invalid. You have 4 more attempts. Okay, let's try another bogus one. 2, 3, 4, 5. Sign. Okay, it's correctly counting down the number of attempts. And this is good to add to your forms because you don't want people to just try to test. I mean, obviously there's 10,000 options. If it's a 4-digit number, there's a lot of options to type in. So now let's type in the correct PIN. And you can see that that worked. Now what it's doing here is it's actually looking up a PIN in a library. Let me show you where it's going to get this information. So if we go to site contents on our demo site, we have a PIN library, PIN list somewhere in here.
The PIN lookup.
Thanks, Don. Okay, so this is the lookup list, and you can see that the PIN is hashed. So we're actually obfuscating the true PIN. And this works well. We actually found a bug in this while we're testing it, but it only occurs in certain weird scenarios when you have really small PINs. Apparently 4 digits is good enough. But if you're doing something smaller than that, it might not work. So we actually encrypt or hash the PIN so that what you see in the list is not what the real PIN is. And you could go further and you could actually lock down these permissions so that when a new row is added, it automatically removes the permissions for everyone else and only allows the person who's logged in to see it. So that's a good technique there. But right now, if we go back to our sample form, you can see that once they type in the correct PIN, it just automatically puts that signature date timestamp in it. And that's good enough, right? Because we know that they did that at that time, and we're confident that no one else had access to that PIN because they would have to know how to decrypt it. And so it's, I mean, it's not completely secure, but it's, for all intents and purposes, pretty secure. So the benefit here is people know how pins work. They use pins all the time. They don't necessarily need to log in. You could do this in anonymous mode. In fact, let me try that. That actually may not work for this form because it is the sample form actually has, let's go back to templates here. It actually looks up the list, people from the list, but it should work. So let me try this. So in the electronic signature case, if I do this anonymously, I could open Chrome in incognito mode and open the form. But this should actually work. It fails the lookup rule, so this actually won't work. Yeah. So, but you can actually get this to work in your forms. You just have them type in their username, and then the form anonymously can query the list on behalf of the app, and you can query the PIN and get that information. So this is something that you could make anonymous, so you wouldn't need a login. We haven't done that for the sample form, but if you're interested, let us know. We can do that. So the next technique, the downside of the PIN technique is it does require that email lookup. People forget their PIN. You got to have a way of resetting it. Obviously, you need the extra form to be able to create the PINs, and there's extra workflow potentially required to remove the permissions. And like I said, if it's not completely secure, because they could try to decrypt it, or they could actually, an easy way to hack it is to just open up the debug window in the Chrome, and you can see the values that are going into the form. So it's not completely bulletproof. It's, for all intents and purposes, most people aren't going to go in the debugger. They wouldn't know where to look. There's a timeout, but you could, right? So it's not 100% tamper-proof. The next technique is the SMS text technique, and let me just show this quickly. And this one I believe we can do anonymously. So I'm going to copy this link into the chat and let you guys open this if you're playing along still. And then I'm going to open it myself and just verify that it will work anonymously. Now what this form does is it's going to ask you to type in your phone number, and you have to select a country code. For the purpose of this demo, we just added 5 countries. So if you're not in that list, I apologize. And I'll just type in my cell phone here and send the code. Now, if you type in your cell phone, it's going to text you, and it's going to use a Twilio API to do that, and I just got the number. If I type in the wrong number, once again, we have this verification not correct. I think that the correct number is, make sure I get it correctly here. So obviously it expired, so I got to try it again. There's a pretty quick expiration there. I'll try it again here. Okay, I got another one, and let's just type this one in correctly. And then it allows me to access the form. So this is a clever technique using SMS text messaging and Twilio to send a text message to a phone number that is the person's cell phone, and then if they have that device, they can type it in, and then we know who they are. Well, we don't know who they are, but we allow them access, and they can type in their name. And you could also have a list that looks up their phone number. They type it in, it looks it up, and then it knows that this person is associated with this phone number. So they can just type in their name. You can look up their phone number from a list, text the phone number on file. That phone number can be encrypted. We've done this demo in the past with encrypted phone numbers, so that would alleviate the need to type in the phone number. They could just type in their name. But you'd want something unique, like an email address. The names obviously can be duplicated, and that may not work if you've got a lot of phone numbers that you're a lot of users. You might get a duplicate in there. So once I just fill out this form here, this is just a quick survey form, and I can hit submit, and it will actually submit it to a form library. And it's submitted, and we can go to site contents, and we can go to that form library, and I think it's down here, and you can see that the anonymous form is submitting to the form library. There's the one I just submitted, and if you play along, you can actually We'll see yours get submitted here as well. So it looks like nobody has filled this out yet. So the SMS text method is great. Once again, people have cell phones, no login required. You do need a phone, but you don't need a smartphone. The downside of the SMS text method is, once again, like the PIN, it's not completely secure, because in the browser they could debug it and see the number that's being sent to Twilio. It would take extra knowledge of debugging browser apps, but I'm sure somebody could do it, right? So it's not completely secure, but for all intents and purposes, it's pretty good. So we've got one more technique to show that is secure, and this is using the Authy API. And I believe, Don, if you could just confirm that you can see my little Authy window here. Maybe it won't share, but what do you see? Do you see it?
I see it.
Okay, good, good. That's what we want. So I've installed this Chrome app that is the same as what I have on my phone. So I've installed the Authy app on my phone. It's just a smartphone app, and for Android or for iPhone or whatever. And the Authy app is different from SMS text because it generates a number like a key fob used to, with these rotating numbers on a server. So you don't have access to the number at all. The browser won't give you the number. So let's take a look at this. This is our last demo today, and then we'll take questions. And this is tech number 4. So once again, the numbering is off, but I'm going to fill out this form here. And you could do this. Obviously, this would work really well for forms that you're serving up on people's cell phones, because then they just get the text. They just copy it from okay, so now, they just copy it from their Authy app here. So now, if I don't have the Authy app, I can revert to using the SMS text method. Now with Authy, I've got several different apps here. I'm going to copy this one here. I got 3 seconds left, so it's going to expire, and it's not going to work. But it did, because I made it under the expiration number. Now let's try it again with a bogus one. So let's just open it again. Every time you open it, it pings Authy and lets you know that on my phone it pings Authy and says tap to get your demo security code. So if I just type in this old one, it shouldn't work. Yep, so it's no longer valid, and it's just not doing anything in this case. I guess we didn't change the sample form to be smarter. We just fail if it's not correct. So let me try it one more time and actually type in, show you this again here with because these numbers, they recycle. So every time you need one here, it gives you 20 seconds, which isn't a ton of time, but good enough, right? And then here's the form again, same form. So the nice thing about this solution is that it is super secure, and it works it reverts back to SMS. So if they don't have a smartphone, you can still use this technique, because it will support the old phones, the clamshells, so this shouldn't be. This Authy app does require a smartphone, but once again, like I said, you can revert back to 4, which doesn't, and it does require installation of that app. So we've talked about pins. I don't know why this is showing up here. I guess I did the pin first. I talked about that. We talked about the SMS text approach and Authy. Obviously, these are the steps that you would take for each of these approaches. So I did the demos in advance, but it really is, just like those previous examples, very simple to add these to your form. I do recommend going the full Authy approach, because that is the most secure, but you can also do the pin approach, which is good enough for most situations. So I'm going to ask if you have any questions. I want to just quickly mention our promotion, our app that we're actually trying to help customers who are trying to figure out what to do with InfoPath, and we're the only company out there that has basically an in-place migration path. You don't have to change your InfoPath forms at all. So unlike PDF share forms or Nintex or K2 or Power Apps or any of the other versions out there, we're the only people that actually allow you to take an existing InfoPath form as is and launch it in the FormZero app without any changes, or with very minimal changes. Maybe you want to add the responsive UI, maybe you want to add one of these techniques. But it's literally 0 to a few hours per form to do that. And then we have a ton of new features we've added to FormZero over the years. We've got obviously tens of thousands of users using it on a daily basis, and we're now close to over 1 million form opens a month. Well, it's still early days, but we're getting there. We're actually seeing a huge uptick in adoption. And we've added a lot of technology, including SMS text. We even did a demo on face recognition about a year ago. We're adding voice recognition, so you can actually approve something on the go without having to type on your phone. And you get us, so you get our support. We've been around for 16 years now, so we are a proven small business entity here in the SharePoint space and form space. We're also Power App experts, so we can definitely do help with Power Platform, Power BI, Power Apps, Flow. If you've got a lot of forms and they're complex, FormZero is definitely the lowest cost, fastest migration path out there today. But if you've got just a few forms and they're not very complex, then Power Apps is also a great way to go. You can rebuild complex forms in Power Apps. It takes a lot of time. It's anywhere from 40 to 80 hours is typical. So depending on the hourly rate, you can look at the cost of that. And then there's the data migration costs. And there's also the fact that Power Apps is not document centric. So Power Apps maps all the data to a list, which cannot be signed in the same way a document can be. So one of the benefits of keeping with your InfoPath form templates using FormZero is that you can continue in that document-centric processing modality. And of course, we've had the FormZero app in the store now for almost a year, so you're very easy to add it to your forms. Any questions for us? We will get the packages uploaded. There's a very quick 4-question survey here at the end. It's great to have you here on this webinar this morning. I want to thank Dawn and Kirby again for putting all this effort into these samples that you're going to get. There are instructions. They're in several of the cases. In fact, the Authy case and the SMS text case, we actually have detailed instructions from our training that we did last month. If you go in here to, let me just show you here, a couple of these. The Authy technique has the training. It has a nice lab that you can walk through to add it. So fairly easy to do it. It's a very cool technique, and it only should take you about 30 minutes to add it to your forms. Now, you do need an Authy account, but that's a free sign up, just like DocuSign. And the Twilio one also has a lab, so you can do the Twilio one first if you want, and then do Authy. Once again, these are labs from our previous training, so they're fairly rich and easy, and they've been tested. The pin, the glass, and the other ones have the instructions in the XCP. So once you add the XCP, you'll see the steps in there. And those are so simple that we didn't even bother with a separate document. We just included instructions right in the XCP, and that's true for the DocuSign approach too. So you've got all the instructions. I'll include the presentation. We're also going to be uploading the video. And thanks, Samika, for your comment. It's great to see you in the webinar this morning. Anyway, I want to wish you all a wonderful day. We hope to see you next week. We're going to be doing a webinar, I think in 2 weeks. It's going to be on how to create PDFs via Power Apps using Word. So stay tuned for that. Hillary is going to be the person presenting. I think that's going to be in 2 weeks. And then later this month, it might be next week, it might be in 3 weeks, we're going to do another webinar on locking your data. So if you've got lots of people editing the same form at the same time, you want to keep track of who's got the baton. You don't want to let people overwrite themselves. So we're going to talk about locking. We've got some really cool techniques to show you. Locking is a kind of an advanced topic because sometimes you want to lock the document, sometimes you want to lock a piece of it. So we'll talk about that. That's coming up this month as well. Hope you're all warm and have a great day. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.